wanted to talk about ferret cages, do's and don't, things you should do and things you shouldn't do in your ferret cage. This is no way to shame anybody, it's just to teach what I've learned over the years of having a ferret. If you're doing this and it works for you, consider telling in the comments why it works, and if you're doing things and it doesn't work, you could try other things. First disclaimer is that ferrets are not cage animals. They should never be in their cage at all times. We have cages for safety purposes and for nighttime because we don't want them getting in trouble when they should be sleeping. Also, ferrets should be a minimum out of their cage at least 4 to 6 hours per day. Very important. Ferret in cages can be very bored and eat stuff, get blockage, or also some ferrets like to eat the wires of their cages and they could hurt and break their teeth. We don't want that. That's expensive and it's a very, very easy solution to avoid. That was just a quick disclaimer I wanted to make before talking about cages, because I know a lot of people are like, my ferret just sleep outside of their cage and they don't get any stimulation when they're out. Think about switching up toys and stuff like this. I could do a video about how I like to keep my ferret not bored when they're out in their play area. This is just a little bit of a video about what you should put in your cage and what you should not put in your cage, as well as a little bit of more info about the size and what I like to put in my own cages. If you want to see a full video about what we put in our cages, we did one last time. I'll link it somewhere and you'll be able to see that as well. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with the don't because it's a shorter list and it's probably just gonna be a long video, and if you want to just watch the don't, it's great. First thing people do is not get a big enough cage. The cage we use is the Ferret Nation double, and we also have a single. In a double, if I remember well what I've read online, it's minimum 2 to 3 ferret top. You don't want more than that. It's gonna get crowded. They're not gonna have enough space to walk and move their leg and stretch. If you have more than that and your cage is open like a free roam, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's more like for bedtime. Otherwise, you don't want plastic bars. We have the one which is the Ferret Nation. They have metal bars, but if you go with the plastic one, more like a bunny, it's gonna put a bunch of pictures of cages that you really want to avoid. The ferret can move their head through the little bar, the plastic bar, because they're bendy. It could hurt their neck, it could hurt their head, they could get stuck while you're not there or while you're sleeping and come back and have a big disaster in the morning. So no plastic wire, a big enough cage, or like go for a smaller cage. I know some people go with the bunny cage. No, we don't want that. It's too small. The ferret's not gonna have a good time. It's just gonna get bored. Normally you want the ferret to have in their cage a place to poop, eat, drink, and sleep, not all on the same level. Ideally, I know some cages are super big and they're just one big level. It's fine, just don't put the food and the pee section together. Also, no small, like not enough shelf space. I know some cages have like removable shelf that create big gap where there's no hammock or anything. They could fall. We don't want falling ferrets. It could break their paw, hurt them really bad. Some ferret could get a brain problem with the fall if it's a big fall, and sometimes it could also create death, and we don't want that. We want happy ferrets. I know some people do put toys, but I don't. I'm just too scared they're just gonna chew on it or get stuck, or like the jingle bells, the bell's gonna go in their throat. I'm a really paranoid ferret owner. I don't want anything happening to my ferret, and I really wouldn't want to put toys in their cage while they're asleep, like at night time when the door is closed. If the door is open, I don't mind. I know I have ferrets who bring their little plushies with them on top and sleep there. I don't remove them until it's bedtime. If you do put toys in their cage, be sure to check them daily, like daily, for holes, chewing marks, or any breaks in the seam. And if they get damaged, either repair them or just throw them away. If you notice that your ferret is starting to chew on it, make sure they're not gonna start chewing on all that kind of fabric, because I know some ferret who are prone to just chewing the fabric, and we don't want that. After that, if your ferret is prone to chewing that kind of fabric, sometimes it's flannel, sometimes it's fleece, it really depends on the ferret. Be sure to not include anything that is that type of tissue of the fabric, because they could just get a blockage, and we don't want that again. It's not a fun thing. And after that, make sure you put big litter box, so not the tiny rectangle, the tiny little corner one that are advertised for ferret. They're not really for ferret. They're too big. They're too small, and the ferret just won't go in it, and they try to go somewhere else. Basically, that's the dot. So, a small cage, we don't want that. We want a big cage. Plastic bars, we don't want that. Try to go with the metal wires. We also don't want exposed wire at the bottom, because if they put their paw in it, it could get stuck, it could hurt their feet, it could hurt their toe beans, and over time it causes a lot of irritation and little feet problems. So try to cover the wires if they're at the bottom. I've seen some people on Facebook put cardboard in liner covers to protect, so they don't put their paws through it. I think it's a good idea for your ferret if it doesn't eat cardboard again. After that thing I forgot to mention, no water bottles. We want bowls. I know some people don't like bowls because your ferret dig in it, but at the same time, if your ferret dig in it, it's just gonna drink more water because it's fun. It's just gonna dig and then drink at the same time. Water bottles are really bad for your ferret teeth, and they are prone to cause dehydration, because the ferret's gonna lick the little ball, and they're gonna give up because they're not gonna get enough water at some point. So we like the clip-on ones, but any kind of bowls works. Some ferrets don't tip the water bowl, so you can go with a ceramic one or something like that. I like to go with the clip-ons because Bill will just push it from the shelf and it falls on the bigger shelf, and I just don't want anybody get hurt by the ceramic bowls just gonna fall onto them. So bowls, no water bowl. So after that, we can go with do's. I just have my little notes so I don't forget anything. For the do's, you really wanna, first of all, are big enough cages, like I said. We use the Ferret Nation. I know many other brands make good cages. The reason we use the Ferret Nation because it's easy to clean. Both doors open, which is great compared to like the Feisty Ferret, I believe that's the name. Just one side open can be hard to clean the other side. I've seen people use the plastic Ferret tower, which is great as well. It's big enough. You just have to cover the plastic at the bottom with something more cozy. What I like to look for in a ferret cage is at least 2 full level, like the Ferret Nation has in the middle and at the bottom as well. So if the ferret falls from their hammock, they don't fall all the way down to the cage. They have at least a middle area they could fall in that is not too high. It's still high, but it's not as high as if they would fall to the top and then just go all the way down. We know ferrets are liquid when they sleep, so they just melt out of their hammock, and we wouldn't want an accident again. Water bowls that are clipped. If you put your water bowls, try to put it with the food. I know my ferret like to eat and drink at the same time, and if the water is lower, they're just not gonna drink water. So we go on the same shelf and then put the pee and sleep somewhere else. We don't want the food and the poo section close together, because if I was a ferret, I wouldn't want to eat where I poop or sleep where I poop and stuff like that. I know some ferrets sleep in their litter box. That's another thing they have, but at least the food and water not on the same level of the pee and sleep section. I like to put my food at the top shelf of my Ferret Nation, but I know some people put it in the middle. It really goes whatever your ferret and whatever works for you. Some ferret, as they get older, they won't want to climb all the way up. It's good to have one on the lower level if your ferret are getting older. I used to do that with Gaia, which was 8. She had trouble going up. Now she's passed, so the water bowl is back on top, and in the room they have fountains so they can play and dig and drink, no problem. After that, we like to have a lot of bedding. Cage liners, which is like the pan middle part, and like the yellow part here, which is liner where I put the plastic in and then put it back so it's soft on their feet. You can go straight on the plastic, but why? I think it's the ferret tend to dig more and scratch and they make noises, and also it's not really comfortable and it's squishy. I just put a lot of bedding in my ferret cage. I make my bedding so it's easy. I also buy a lot of bedding. One time I'll make a video about what all the things we have in my stash of hammock bedding and liners and stuff like that. My washer is going crazy. After that, a lot of hammock as well. Ferret my ferret personally really loves to sleep in hammock together. Make sure you get hammock that are very strong and not super cheap that would just break. I don't recommend any hammock from Amazon. I've tried a few and they just broke after a few use, so I think it's a good way to spend your money on. I know a lot of great shops do. I'll just put them here. They make great quality, and at the same time you help a small business. So I think it's a good way to spend a little bit more just so you get sturdy stuff. Because if you put cheap hammock, they're just gonna break, your ferret's gonna fall again, and then we don't want your ferret to fall. We also use ramp covers. I know when you buy the Ferret Nation, it comes with the ramp covers, which is like teal and purple. I make some more because you just want to protect the paws again from the wires. Walking on exposed wire for ferret is not recommended at all. And a lot of blankets. I know you have the soft pen liners, you got the soft hammock, and you got the soft ramp covers. put blankets. My ferret like to pile onto a bunch of blankets, so in the corners. And also, it's a great tip, ferret won't poop where they sleep. Most of them. I know there's exception, but I put blankets, just a pile of blankets straight in the corners where I don't want them to poop. It's a tip I used when I was litter training Ophelia and Bloom, and so far it works great. Now they are fully litter trained. They kinda don't make mistake. It's not perfect. I know. It's a ferret. It's never gonna be fully trained for the litter box. They're gonna be still little hoopsies sometimes. So I put blankets in the corners. Normally I have one at the bottom because I put my big litter box on one side, and then a bunch of blankets in a bed on that side, so they can not poop there, and it works. Also, following the bedding, a bed, we like to put a big bed. But you don't have to. If you put a bunch of blankets, it's fine. But make sure to put in your cages a lot of cozy stuff. So hammocks, bed, liners, blanket, whatever works for your ferret. Just make sure it's cozy. We want a little cozy home for their ferret. Also, I've talked about the tiny little box that we don't want. But the litter box that we want, it's a big enough litter box that the ferret can fit their whole body in it. If the ferret is just gonna be cramped up tiny like this, they're just not gonna want to use it, and they're gonna go all over the places. So big litter box, it's a tan from the dollar store. It's just a cat litter box. It's about this big, like super big. Cost me like $3, and the ferret can fit their whole body, and there's still space. You don't have to go that big, but make sure your ferret can fit the whole body in it. And with the litter that you use in it, make sure it's safe. What we use is paper pellets from, I think it's Fresh One, the brand. Any brand works great. Just make sure that it's not like the sand one or like the flaky one that's just gonna go into their noses, and it's gonna cause respiratory, that was hard to say, problems. We don't want that. So, ferret safe litter, a big litter box, cozy stuff. A bonus thing you can add is a cage cover. You can go with a pre-made cage cover like this. I know Midwest makes some for the Ferret Nation, and I've seen people use just a blanket, like an old blanket, put it on top, because ferret likes to sleep in a dark, cozy environment, and also it helps with preventing artificial light from coming in your cage at night. You can just close the door when it's the bedtime for your ferret, and then you can still have your light on in the room. What we like to use also is reusable pee pads. It doesn't matter if you use reusable or regular ones, just a place where you can, your ferret, some ferret wipe their butt when they go. I just put them under the litter box, so it helps my liners stay clean a little longer, so I don't have to clean them every 3 days. I can wait a week and then clean them again. Basically, things you want in your cage or do's: cozy stuff, a cage cover if you want, clip-on water bowls, and food on the same level. Also want litter box that is big enough for their whole body, and a big enough cages. Reminder, ferrets are not caged animals. They should be at least 4 to 6 hours out of their cage. Even if they just go sleep somewhere else in the home, it's fine. You just don't want to get bored ferret. We don't want them to have teeth problem. We don't want them to be cage rage. And also some ferret can have developed behavior behavioral, I'm gonna write it here, problems with rage in the cage. Things you don't want in your cage. It's a too small of a cage. Example, a bunny cage, or normally ferret cage that are marketed like KD and stuff like this. They're not hard and sturdy enough, and they're too small. No exposed wires, we don't want that. We don't want at the same time plastic wires. It could cause trouble, we don't want that. No water bottles. No toys, with exception depending on your ferret. Toys can be a do and don't depending on your ferret. I don't. No toys. And corner triangle litter pads. Litter pans. Ugh, we don't want that. Terrible, 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 terrible. And also some people use like I think it's hamster bedding, which is like flaky things. We don't want that. Go with fleece blanket instead. Softer, better, and more good for your wallet. More good for your wallet? What kind of words is this? Less expensive over time. I know to start it can be expensive, but it's worth 100% your money. Same thing for the Ferret Nation. 100% worth your money. Easy to clean, big enough, spacious, cozy, and also many shops makes Ferret Nation covers for the liners, thing like that. Sometimes if you go with like a feisty ferret cage or a Ferroplast ferret tower cage, it's a little bit harder to find liners that would fit. So I would recommend getting the Ferret Nation for that. And this is a recap. If you have any question about the cages, do's and don'ts, things you do, you want to talk about that I didn't talk about, things you learned that you shouldn't do, also you can leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share with your friends for more tips. See you next time.